I'm having one of those moments. I'm having one of those moments. I'm having one of those moments. I'm having one of those moments.
Well, I am 100% man, and this man has got something to say to you.
I hate to tell you this, but actively not wanting to be fat is indeed fatphobic. Also, your statement just indicated that people who work out are also people who do not want to be fat. Did you know that fat people work out without wanting to become thin? Did you know that you can work out for reasons other than wanting to change your physical appearance? The fitness and diet industry has absolutely perverted what exercise is and what it is good for, like mental health and cardiovascular health. The industry has brainwashed us into thinking that we can micromanage and control our bodies and exactly what every part of our bodies look like. Sure, you can control your body to some extent, but not through healthy means.
It's not a clitori, it's a clitor us.
What can gender fluid fashion look like? Part 2. Like this. And this. Or this. Even this. Definitely this.
Yeah, nah, my generation is so soft. Like, you can't say anything these days about the PC police kicking down your door. Like, these people wouldn't survive a Modern Warfare 2 lobby. Like, the other day, right, I used a racial slur and people started getting really fucking angry at me. And it's like, this is literally 1984. Yeah, no, tell me about it, dude. I'm always under fire for my right-wing views too. Nah, not like my views on tax. Nah, sorry, less regulation. I wasn't even aware that was a right-wing stance. Nah, it's not those views. It's more to do with like the more like social side of. Nah, I hate people who feel the need to specify their pronouns. Like, yeah, I didn't know what a pronoun was till like last year, but that's past the point. It's like, we can tell what your pronouns are. And get this right, if anyone ever asks me what my pronouns are, I always say normal. Do you get it? Like normal, but normal. Right, and get this right. The other day, my teacher said to us, "Happy World Pronouns Day." I swear to God, guys, I was fucking raging. I was gonna lay her out. Fuck, I just used a pronoun. One moment, guys. Mark Thatcher, who art in heaven, please don't steal my milk. Gender pay gap, fucking load of shite, mate. And I'll tell you why, right? So I was watching Jordan Peterson and he said, look, Thatcher was a girl boss. You can't tell me otherwise. The creation of the underclass, fucking genius.
Good question. And yes, put simply, she, they is an either or situation. You can either use she, her, or you can use they, them. To explain why I'm using she, they, rather than just she, her, I'm going to use the medium of dessert. So when I was younger, the only thing on the dessert menu was a chocolate brownie. I didn't particularly like the chocolate brownie. I didn't really enjoy the chocolate brownie, but it didn't really bother me either, so I ate the chocolate brownie. So when I got older, some people told me that there wasn't only one option on the dessert menu, and that as well as a chocolate brownie, there was also a raspberry sorbet which I could potentially order. So this was great news. I really like raspberry sorbet. That felt right for me. The chocolate brownie was fine, but the raspberry sorbet was better. So we're going to keep the chocolate brownie on the menu. It doesn't bother me, but if someone wants to get me a raspberry sorbet, that'd be great. So just to be clear, the chocolate brownie is she, her, the raspberry sorbet is they, them. You know which one I prefer, but pick whichever one you'd like to use.
Stop putting chemicals in the air that make the snow gay! Ah! The snow's gay! Stop it! The snow's gay! They're controlling it! Bill Gates is making the snow gay! And it's white, so it's racist!
I've been noticing a lot of men in comment sections making fun of like the way that girls talk. And so in response to that, I would like to read you a poem called Like Totally Whatever by Melissa Lozada Olivia. In case you haven't realized, it has somehow become necessary for old white men to tell me how to speak. They like interrupt a conversation that isn't even theirs and are like, speak like you mean it. And like the internet is ruining the English language. And they like put my parentheticals, my likes and ums and you knows on a wait list. Tell them no one will take them seriously in a frilly pink dress or that makeup. Tell them they have a confidence problem, that they should learn to speak up. Like the hyper-masculine words were always the first to raise their hands. Invisible red pens and college degrees have been making their way into the middle of my sentences. I've been crossing things out every time I take a moment to think. Declarative sentences, so-called, because they declare themselves to be the loudest, most truest, most taking up the most space, most totally white man sentences, have always told me that being angry has never helped anybody, has only gotten in the way of helping them declare more shit about how they'll never be forgotten, ever. It's like F. Scott Fitzgerald and Ernest Hemingway were geniuses for turning women into question marks. It's like rapes happen all the time on campuses, but as soon as John Krakauer writes about it, suddenly it's innovative nonfiction and not something girls are making up for attention. And it's maybe I'm always speaking in questions because I'm so used to being cut off. Maybe this is a defense mechanism. Maybe everything girls do is evolution of defense mechanism. This is protection, our likes are our knee pads, our arms are the knives we tuck into our boots at night, our you knows our best friends we call on when walking down a dark alley. This is how we breathe easier. But I guess feelings never helped anybody. I guess tears never made change. I guess everything girls do is a waste of time. So welcome to the bandwagon of my own uncertainty. Watch as I stick flowers into your punctuation mark guns. Because you can't just challenge authority. You have to take it to the mall too. Teach it to do the bend and snap, paint its nails, braid its hair, tell it looks really, really good today. And in that moment, before you murder it with all the poison and your softness, you let it know that this moment is me using my voice.
You bitch. No. Yes. No. Yes. Yes. Darling.
So, in one of my other videos, I used the term small fat. I got a lot of responses to that, and I realized that it's probably because most people haven't heard that term before. So, as we all know, fatness exists on a spectrum. So, fat people have created terminology that will help explain the different parts of the spectrum a little bit better. This is a little easy chart made by fatlip.ash on Instagram. A small fat is a 1 to 2x, or lower than an 18, basically. So a small fat is a 1 to 2x typically, and they're an 18 or lower, usually between a 14 and an 18. And because these people are the smallest, they're typically the more acceptable type of fat. They're also usually the ones at the forefront of the body positivity or fat liberation movement, because the smaller you are, the more privilege you have over the people who are larger than you. Then it goes mid-fat, which is a 2 to 3x, which is usually the highest sizes that most mainstream brands carry in a plus size. I'm really sorry, but I have to make a part 2 to explain the rest.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready?
In 2004, a bunch of libertarians tried to make their own perfect town. Instead, they completely destroyed it. Libertarianism is a political philosophy that wants minimal government intervention. This means they're all about the free market and often super against taxes. So a few thousand libertarians met online, scoped out a town that would be small enough for them to come and take over, and they moved there to try running the perfect government. They chose a little town called Grafton, New Hampshire, and the libertarians removed all the funding from most public services, such as police, firefighting, waste collection, road services, and even the library. They thought they would finally be able to thrive without being taxed. But what actually happened was bears. So basically, since everyone was on their own, they were able to throw away trash how they wanted. And the bears started to understand these houses were full of food. The bears got so aggressive that New Hampshire had its first bear attack in 100 years. Grafton even had its first murder. They had huge amounts of lawsuits and no way to stop any of it because everyone was just on their own. Finally, in 2016, the libertarians moved out and their dream was crushed. And the town.
All right, is it just me, or does there seem to be like an overwhelming amount of men out there, especially on social media, who feel like it is their duty to make sure we know that the phrase toxic masculinity is just a crock of shit? It's almost like they don't want masculinity to be called into question. There are men who would rather debate the term toxic masculinity at length than stand up for women who are being abused. Because if you deny the very existence of a problem, that means you don't have to deal with it. That's easier, right? Yet these same men will be the first ones to jump into the middle of a bar fight and defend a woman's honor, because then they get to look tough and masculine. And violence can be a little bit fun. The problem is that a lot of men don't want to align themselves as allies with a woman's cause. And yes, domestic violence is thought of to be a woman's cause. Isn't that ironic? The very thing that is oppressing us, that is beating us down, that is killing us, is our problem to raise awareness of and fix. But when we ask men to stand with us and help us fight against this, their first order of business, by and large, is to make sure we know that it's not them. So men prioritizing their own egos over the safety of others, even if that results in violence or death, is the very definition of toxic masculinity. Yet these men are saying that toxic masculinity is just a bullshit term. I guess the question is, what do you want to call it then?
Which Minecraft player are you? Tag your friends down below. The builder, the fighter, the racist.